So, it's time to talk about JJK on this channel. So, as you know, this channel that I kind of talked about JJK in the past. Some pros and cons, I talked about it, and you know, ever since that video I dropped about the fandom thing, I'm pretty sure y'all assume that I hate JJK, which is not true because, well, you know, I thought the anime was pretty good as far as the first season, and you know, I did have some problems with it, and what I say is overhyped. I get to that in a minute. But yeah, the pros and cons was, like I said, the pros is the anime. I thought it was pretty good. I like the characters in the show. But the cons, you can say it's not like really original, or the fan base, which is, you know, my problem is like, you know, I talked about why I don't like the fan base that much. You know, I'm not saying all of y'all. I'm saying most of y'all. Go check that video out, by the way. But here's the thing. Just because I don't like the fan base that much doesn't mean I hate the series as well. No, I still think it's good. And I think y'all should do that to other shows y'all see. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about that. So I want to talk about this video, this one particular art that I swear I was going to talk about a while back, but I was like, nah, until I reread it, like, you know, a few weeks ago, and I was like, you know, I think it's time for me to talk about this. Let's talk about the Shibuya incident arc. Now, I'm not going to talk about season 1 JJK, you know, because, well, that's out and you can watch it right now, but I will tell that some events that are important to the Shibuya arc, and I will, you know, talk about briefly about the Gojo, which is the previous arc to Shibuya's. So, basically, JJK season 1 was, like, introducing new characters and talk about briefly about their past, and also introduce the villains and antagonists of the series and how sorcerers act and how, you know, how dark the tone is of this whole world, how overpowered characters are, even some nice slice of life episodes like the baseball one. I thought that was pretty nice. And then you got characters learning the cruel world of this whole sorcerer thing and how he can't save everyone in this dark world. And season 1 also did a great job of introducing like the main core characters, especially the main trio and Nobora, Megumi, and Yuji. And we also like to see that dynamics between those three, and I thought that was a pretty nice touch, and I liked them pretty much a lot. So, and now when you get to a major arc like Shibuya, you get worried a little bit because, well, one, how season 1 ended after the villains and antagonists talk about how they're planning a specific date to cause mayhem, which is the October 31st. And that is known as, you know, Halloween in reality. And so, yeah, we get to that arc, right? And then, first off the bat, I love how we get introduced to Gojo in the previous arc, and how he's friends with Geto, which is, you know, the now known antagonist named Kenjaku. And we get more insights and more characters from his past and how he basically, you know, was born powerful, and how he sees himself as the only person in the world that could, you know, defeat everybody, and how, you know, basically embrace his powerfulness. And we see how Geto develops from this like, normal being to this person that sees the true role for what it is, and basically in similar Yuji fashion, except in Kenjaku way, he basically just wants to eliminate all the normal people without curse energy, because that's how he sees the world should be. And I might go more in depth with that later on in a future video, but yeah, that's how basically set things up for Shibuya. And boy, let's start off with the bang. So see the characters to get ready to go into action and get ready to prepare for war, because hey, they're gonna need it and stuff to get rid of all the villains that are gonna cause mayhem and really feel like a true terrorist attack that's happening. And by the way, I meant to say this at the beginning, I'm not gonna like retelling the story arc itself. I've already read it and stuff, and I won't go into detail like which event happened by which event. I was just talking about like, you know, different qualities of this event that make this arc so hyped up and regarded as one of the best anime arcs of all time. So yeah, starting off with this darkness tone of nature, I'll say the writing's pretty good in this arc, because we start off the bat by eliminating, you know, the greatest character of all time. First of all, I get introduced and, you know, well, if this event's gonna take place, we need someone like him, the God of Almighty, take care of it. And then we see him go crazy with the action and eliminating, you know, different targets and the villains such as Jogo, I think he was there at the time. And then we see him like just go on this crazy rampage because he knows what has to be done, and he knows that he has to sacrifice some humans to get, you know, the objective done. And that's what most characters don't do, like especially in different heroes. And even Yuji didn't realize this at first. But we see that he ultimately got checkmated in the end by Kenjaku, which, because, you know, the person who knows him best will get him like that. And so we see him get set up in the box that, slight spoiler warning, that still to this day he is still locked inside there. And it's pretty sure it's been like over 1,000 days, which is crazy that he's been gone for that long in the manga. So you can basically say he's dead right now. And then so we see they got the strongest person out already. So we need help of the sorcerers, Yuji, Megumi, Nobora, Maki, Nanami, all the grade 2, grade 1 sorcerers that need to come into play. So yeah, it's really like a heroes versus villains things right now. And with the heroes not knowing what to expect, you know, just knowing to find the enemies and defeat them, we know it's going to be a difficult task because, well, the smartness of the villain have been playing this for a while back and already know how to get rid of certain people and stuff like that. So it knows it's going to be a difficult task. And that was proven to be right, because I remember seeing this video talking about the Shibuya incident arc, and I see in comment that someone loved saying that this is the arc where everything went wrong, and I was like, that perfectly sums up the Shibuya arc, honestly, because with the heroes legit fighting the villains, I would say, besides some instances, that the heroes definitely lost this one, and I feel like this arc showed that because, of one, there were a lot of casualties in this arc that some could say that was main important to the story, and some characters we just got introduced to that already got method of death to the enemies and stuff like that, and just in both sides, to like some villains that we thought that was villains but actually turned out to be some nice innocent people got met with death too. And then it's like the writing and the darkness of this nature of this art is like unexpected thing with the new gen shonen arcs. Some usually wait to the end of the story, like towards the end game, to its final arc to like kill off some characters, but with this Shibuya thing that they introduced these characters and showed them in season 1 to be met with like a whole bunch of deaths already, to basically put themselves in a situation where they got to create a whole new cast. And like only anime or at least manga that does that, but the slight spoiler warning, 3, 2, 1 is Chainsaw Man, that introduced characters that to only kill them off like literally panels or like chapters later. And people like the unexpected qualities of that because, you know, like I said, with the different shonen they usually wait to do it, but no, they like darkness of JJK because they're not afraid to kill off characters that, you know, will progress the story in a way. And even that means, you know, killing off some of the most beloved characters in the goddamn story. I'm talking about, you know, who, Nobara and Nanami. I'm like, man, those deaths still hurt to this day, man. I remember reading it and I was like, oh my god. I think the beauty of JJK is that when it hits something, like when it sounds like it's touched, like it finds it. Because like honestly, I love when manga arcs stay up like it's like 4 or 5 o'clock at night to keep reading the different chapters and stuff. It gives me the experience saying that, man, this is one of the most intriguing manga that I read, you know. And if it makes me feel that way, then I consider this as a good arc or like a great story. And JJK Shibuya made me feel that way. I was like, I kept, you know, wondering what's gonna happen next. And I was like, after, you know, the board thing happened, I was like, when is she coming back? When is she coming back? You know, by the way, I know that still to this day in the current arc of the manga that Nobara is still like, you know, quote unquote is not dead, but you know, I'm starting to lose hope. And then it may be a chapter that maybe she probably return to, you know, in the future, but it's like, can it please happen already? Because we got through one arc, the Culling Games arc, and she's still not here. I'm like, come on, man, like how much I gotta wait more to see my girl, man. I miss her so much, but I can't say the same thing on him because you can see that he's, you know, basically, well, done because of Mahito, which is another character I'll talk about in a minute. Like if an art made me keep reading and stay up long nights to read it, and you did a good job in my book, because that's how I felt with AOT, Chainsaw Man, and other mangas, even My Hero, man. I was like, oh, this is arc so good. So, and I will say, going back to the characters, I could spend like legit hours talking about the characters in this art, like Yuji and how he changed, and Mahito and how he became more of a villain that I hate the most. And then even Konjaku, how he became like a mastermind villain and stuff like that. But I might say that for the future videos later on, like, cause you know, it would be all day. But I could quickly talk about the character and development progression. So like one of my favorites was, of course, Yuji. Him going through all that, losing his sensei and his master, someone that he looks up to Mahito, and then losing his best friend literally panels and literally minutes after that to Nobara. You know, it's just like that's too much to take in at one time. And then it's like also minutes and hours before that, just like seeing you technically destroyed the whole colony and killed so many lives, not even just them two that you saw, but you killed so many lives in the, you know, process, and you had no control over it because Sukuna took over at that time and he just went on a menacingly rampage. I'm talking about Black Air Forces, like the person he saw that was unimportant just killed, taking on different fights to test people's power and stuff like that. Like it just, man, so much stuff was happening. And like I said, even back to Yuji and seeing him that causing all this destruction is like, man, how do you not like just break down? Thank God for Todo came in and helped, you know, some unlikely allies helped him out, and then realized he has to defeat, you know, this person, this monster, in order to basically just finish the task and get vengeance, because, you know, Mahito and Yuji are the same person, and Mahito trying to convince him that, and then we finally realized that after all he's been through, he realized that he's as dark as Mahito and even evil as him, because, you know, he did some things that just can't be forgiven. And so yeah, they're the same person. So I gotta mention in the video that basically another thing I want to add on about this Shibuya arc is that, well, you know, in animes when you come across this arc, or some mangas where you come across, you know what I'm saying, the story and like, damn, this event, you remember when exactly the turning point of a series was, which is, you know, let's say One Piece was Marineford, Hunter x Hunter was probably, you know, Your Canoe or Chimera Ant arc, Gintama was the Shogun's assassination arc. I would definitely say that JJK is Shibuya. Shibuya is definitely the turning point because, well, one, after so many catastrophic moments, and each character from this series, whether a hero or a villain, well, most of the villains changed. Pretty much all the heroes changed for the worse, left like beaten, you know, or like dead or traumatized. Even the after effects, like you see how broken Yuji is, and Megumin is like recovering. Nobora's gone, Gojo's still, Maki's face is damaged, and half the sorcerers are dead or missing, and it's all that type of stuff played in the factor in that one night that changed everything. So I think the idea of like just killing just to kill people, you know, that's their nature. And there are other characters that like surprising characters that popped up, like, you know, Toji resurfacing, or like I think it wasn't Toji, but I mean it was his body, but like it couldn't think controlled by somebody else. It's some way that did that. I could get into it, but like, I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I remember that happened. He came back, and there were new characters that, you know, came to play, which I didn't really care for like that. Sorry, I had to say that. Also, sorcerers that we saw before, like that lady and her brother, you know, powers and their relationship are, you know, you could say it's weird, but like, you know, just her power. So many things that happen, like between like the good fights, which I'll get into my favorites in a minute, and the character developments between characters. I mean, we got a backstory between Nobora and her. Like, it was simple and short, but like it was the most realistic one. And to see how, like I said, she had to go like that, and it was just sad that she couldn't see her friend, you know, after that she made it to the, you know, I bet she actually grown up, and it's just like, man, I just, you know, I'm starting to tear up just thinking about it. I just like the characters in this arc was like fleshed really well. Like some antagonists that I like was Choso, and even Jogo. I like Jogo a little bit more in this arc because like how Sukuna realized he was like a special person. I thought that was nice. And then Choso, him realizing that Yuji is actually a friend, and you know, just even Choso's moves and like power is nice. He was like a bad person that became good, and then some people became good and then bad. You know, it just like, ooh, the writing was crazy in this arc, and I will give it that. And I will say the action for sure was top notch. You know, different fights. Like my favorite fights in this arc was, you know, Yuji, Toso, Hito versus Yuji, Gojo versus everybody, Toji versus Megumin, you know, Maki and old guy versus Toji, Jogo versus Sukuna. Like so many fights that happened and took place. It was just like, man, this arc did not have to go this hard. I think everyone was like caught off guard by how like crazy the events that was happening and how good it was, you know, action wise. Now, after I talked about that, and I would give it its pros and stuff like that, and I really do like, because this is my favorite arc, JJK, believe it or not, and that's why I was like, okay, JJK is honestly some next level shit right now because of this arc they're writing. But I will say, after I already read it twice, because when the art gets me to reread things twice, nah, you're good in my book. But I will say, when I reread it the second time, I noticed some things that I just like really didn't sit right with me, like some flaws, like some new characters that came in I didn't really care for the second time to read. But I would say that's not really a big flaw, but honestly one of the big flaws is actually two things. If Nobora is still dead by the end of JJK, like when the manga ends and she hasn't came back yet, that is the worst decision the author could have done. That's error writing. I don't care what y'all say. That was some BS, because that was a waste of potential of a character, because they just wasted her like that. Didn't conclude her fucking backstory. Could have added more to her character, and I was like, boom, you know, she's gone like that. It just sucks, but you know, sorry, I didn't mean going like that, but I'm pretty sure she's coming back. She has to come back, right? Also, I will say the ending of the arc didn't really sit right with me. Like, I really wish Yuji would have killed Mahito in his own hands, and I thought it would have made his character even more like compelling and menacing enough. I think at the end, Kenjaku basically absorbed Mahito, and now they're one. It's like, man, it's like, come on, Yuji should have killed him. Like, you can't draw like all those things, and then just for him to like get away and basically like just not kill him and not even finish the job. And I thought that was kind of like, you know, it didn't hit like that to me. But hey, those are just my opinions. Besides those things, like, I really think this arc is really good. This is the darkest arc of modern shonen right now. The new gen shonen, this is the darkest arc for sure. You can't deny that. And I will read some more of that to, you know, see what other are dark out there. But like, I would say out of the events that happened, I would say this is definitely one of the darkest arcs of shonen, period. And do I think it's one of the greatest arcs of shonen of all time? No, because, well, that's subjective. Honestly, for you to be like one of the greatest of all time, I would have no flaws with it, you know. And like, don't have no flaws with Marine Force, Soul Society, Pain arc, you know, Gintama arcs. I don't have no flaws with that. But like, I have flaws with, you know, some new gen arcs. Shibuya has some flaws, so it's like, you know, it's not really the greatest, at least in my book. But if you consider one of the greatest, cool. And I see a point, honestly. I definitely do believe it's one of the best new gen shonen arcs of all time, probably top 3. But I do believe it's the best arc of JJK in period. So yeah, with that being said, I technically spent like 16 minutes talking about how I like JJK and its arc. So don't say that I hate JJK because this is that, you know, I literally gave it positive flowers right now. So yeah, but with that being said, let me know what you think down below in the comments about this. You can tell me how you experience Shibuya arc. Do you think it's one of the greatest arcs of all time? Do you think it's the best arc of JJK? Do you have like a favorite moment, best character in the arc? You know, comment down below. Let me know what you think. And yeah, so that being said, hope you enjoyed the video, and I catch y'all in the next one. Oh, bye!